Might not be as fine of a Tuesday as someone in particular out in New York is feeling right now.
Yeah, something we didn't see coming ahead of guys reporting for training camp, especially in New York when it comes to the Giants. Your star running back Saquon Barkley putting pen to paper for a deal this upcoming season. Hold your breath. It is breaking news here in HQ. A one-year deal worth $11 million for Barkley to come into this season. Back with the Giants, expected to report $11 million, as I mentioned. Our NFL insider Josina Anderson confirming that news. Barkley, by the way, gets the 10.1 of the franchise tag amount plus $900,000 in incentives. Interesting how that play calling goes towards the end of the season. He receives $2 million of that tag, featured as a signing bonus. This means he will be reporting their first practice, of course, on Wednesday. The agreement comes more than a week after the two sides failed to agree on that long-term deal before the tag deadline. But this is big news for the Giants because 2022 was an important one for Barkley. He played at a Pro Bowl level after injuries. He dodged the previous 2 seasons. You see the numbers there. He was legit, not just in the NFC, but among the best in the NFL. He ran for a career high over 1,300 yards, also 10 trips to the end zone in those 16 regular season games. That also helped him get to a postseason there when it comes to the G-men. Joining us now, of course, to give us a skinny NFL insider, I mentioned it, Josina Anderson. And Jojo, I'm curious, this is unexpected, a little twist for the Giants and Saquon, because a couple days ago we thought he wasn't going to return or report there. I'm curious, was this a last-ditch effort or was this something in the works, a couple weeks ago?
Well, this is definitely not a last-ditch effort for the Giants and running back Saquon Barkley. This morning, I asked a source, when did they start on talks as far as Barkley being able to get a one-year deal that elevates on the amount of the tag, which stands at this season for 10.091 for running backs. And the source told me this morning that we never stopped and that their intention is to always have Barkley in the building and a part of the team. And oh, by the way, the Giants confirming to me this morning that Barkley is already there. They are reporting today, have practice tomorrow that starts at 10, and both general manager Joe Shane and head coach Bryan will be talking at 9:15 a.m. tomorrow. But essentially, this was always the vibe as far as trying to keep the lines of communication open. It's just that the sense that I was getting, and I mentioned this before on CBS Sports HQ, that the Giants' intentions were always going to be to respect the market. And while Saquon Barkley definitely has points for making a lot more above the tag, not just in terms of his production and having a career year last year, not just in terms of coming up with the total amount that you put for the tag this year and knowing that the tag is moving at 12.1 next year and trying to get above that and above also what the running back from the Titans is also making as far as his deal in 2020 and getting $25.5 million in the first 2 years, and that averaging at 12.75, but still having a larger macro view of essentially where everything is going for the position as a whole. We have running backs that have been cut and released since the Super Bowl. We have running backs like Joe Mixon, who recently just took a pay cut. And while they have points for essentially making more than what they're incurring right now, it's just not where things stand. And so I just got that vibe. I know that the team held its mark, but at the same time, trying to send the vibes that they want Saquon Barkley, that they're embracing him in the building, and they know that he is an integral part to their organization.
One of those young pieces there were Danny Dimes as well, QB1, so now him back in the fold. But elsewhere, the second layer when it comes to that running back market you're talking about, Josh Jacobs in Vegas, not planning to report to Raiders camp, but how does this deal with Barkley impact his future there in Sin City?
Well, it certainly gives some extra points for consideration this morning, knowing that veterans are reporting for the Raiders today. The rookies already reported on July 20th. And I was talking to a source last night, just basically admitting that they are anticipating what is Josh Jacobs going to do, and also telling me that he should be in the building this morning, meaning what he's supposed to do, not saying that he will do, for clarification, by 8:30 a.m. local time on that side of the country. So we'll see what he will do. But here's, my thoughts on this. While I understand that Josh Jacobs had the rushing crown this past season with 1,653 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, was able to prove himself after they didn't exercise the fifth-year option on him and all of that, and understanding the frustration of having to prove yourself. Listen, it's not just players that go through that. Workers across the country and the world go through having to do things you don't necessarily want to do when you feel like your value is not being met. But at the same time, even though you know what you feel is your value, you still have to be honest to what the markers are in the market, and they just do not have the leverage. This is why the league has the deadline for the multi-year deal for franchise tag players in advance of camp. So they really don't have anywhere to move. And even if you don't sign the tag and they can't find you, you're not making any money on a prorated basis for the games every week to week. So you're not making any money. There's really nowhere for you to go except to make a stand and show your principles. But sometimes your principles are not necessarily getting you paid. So you have to think sometimes about regrouping and seeing what you can do as far as repositioning yourself to have more leverage on the next go around. Now, you can always be emotional. I don't know what Josh Jacobs is going to do. We'll follow up on that after, we're done with this hit. But as of right now, I do know that people not only are waiting to see what they're doing, or what he will do rather, in with the Raiders this morning, but had also interestingly expressed thoughts and optimism that it was going to get done by the deal. By the deadline. That's what was told to me when they were at the combine in Indianapolis, saying that was the preference. But right now, no consummation, and we'll see if Saquon's deal has any impact on Josh Jacobs getting an extended amount of money on his own tag himself.
She is NFL insider Josina Anderson, always giving us the 401. Appreciate it as always tapping in this morning, JoJo. Hey, don't forget the guys at the Pick Six Pod always landing out there as well. Katie Moxwell Brinson and Chargers senior writer Eric Smith talking about the LA Chargers. Maybe the new look this season, Justin Herbert. Could he maybe be a top 3 QB? We've seen him before in the AFC West. Just download, subscribe to the Pick Six Pod. The guys getting us ready for the season.